Hello Disney fans, it's Christian Milan again. This is the holiday season at Disneyland, California. And if you're like a lot of other people, you're gonna take your family to Disneyland Park. Now there's gonna be a lot of facts and figures that a lot of people, even experts, know. But I'm gonna share with you some facts that you probably did not know and you can impress your family next time you take them. So when you enter Main Street, go to the right. You'll find a Mad Hatter shop at the end of the block. And go around the corner to that door on the very right-hand side. This door says employees only. Any Disneyland fan knows that Disneyland employees are actually called cast members. The reason why this says employees is because back when it was actually built, it was a mill that was used to construct Disneyland, and the workers didn't actually work for Disney, they worked for a separate company, so they were called employees. And due to the historical significance, they kept that name on that door to this very day. So I'm here in front of the Great Moments of Mr. Lincoln. Now, did you know that Harriet Burns, the first female Imagineer, invented the skin for Lincoln in her home crock pot? It was called Duraflex, which eventually became called Hot Melt. And speaking of Imagineering, the term Imagineering actually came from Harrison Buzz Price. An Imagineer actually came from 20th Century Fox. The group that is now called Imagineering, the very first name for it before WED or WDI was actually Walt Disney Miniature Railroad Company. The development of the train station was done by Ward Kimball. He actually had a book called Buildings and Structures of American Railroads, and the plan for the structure actually was a direct copy from that book. Every New Orleans street has a street name, and on Front Street, which is the street closest to the railroad, this balcony was actually dedicated to Marie Laveau, the voodoo queen of the French Quarter in New Orleans Square. And she would practice voodoo in the 1700s and 1800s. And if you listen carefully, you can hear her casting her spells and magical witchcraft. And her portrait was actually in the original plan for Pirates of the Caribbean and Haunted Mansion. The train station depot at Frontierland or New Orleans Square is actually based on the train depot in So Dear to My Heart. Ward Kimball bought the building from the company when the movie was finished. When Walt Disney wanted it back, Ward said no. So luckily, Walt Disney had the plan sitting at the studio for him to just make an exact copy. So here we are in front of Rivers of America. The reason why this is called Rivers of America is because in 1955, it was christened by Irene Dunn with a bottle with water from all the rivers of America. And behind me we have the Golden Horseshoe. Now the Golden Horseshoe was designed as a direct copy from the movie Calamity Jane, a movie that Harper Goff himself, the designer, the Imagineer, was actually a set designer for. The design for the props in the Mr. Toad's Wild Ride was actually painted by Claude Coates. At the time, he was actually a color stylist for the Lady and the Tramp animated film. And he was pulled off that animated film and became an instant Imagineer. And it was actually the original thrill attraction up until Matterhorn was developed. And it was designed by Bruce Bushman, actually first as a roller coaster with obstacles that would move out of your way just in time. So I'm here in front of Dumbo the Ride, and Timothy Mouse at the top was actually painted by my favorite Imagineer, Harriet Burns. And she was so afraid of heights that she promised that she'd do the best possible job so she'd never have to go up and do it again. So behind me is Matterhorn Mountain, and back in the 50s, Disney used to allow the Anaheim Police Department to climb to the top so they can observe and catch speeders on the I-5 freeway. And actually during Christmas time in the 60s, they put a golden spinning star at the top of Matterhorn. So behind me is Star Tours, and the idea for Star Wars actually came from Imagineer Mark Eads. Before Ron Miller even met with George Lucas, Mark Eads actually went to Pier 39 in San Francisco, my hometown, and he actually wanted to see the simulator in Pier 39. And from that idea, he thought of the idea of what if would they use the simulator technology to actually make a Millennium Falcon attraction where you can control the Millennium Falcon. And that idea is now going to be used at Galaxy's Edge in 2019. So I'm here in Tomorrowland, and the very first tunnel ever to be underground in a Disney theme park was the one that was under Tomorrowland Terrace, connecting that below ground entrance to Carousel of Progress. And that was the first ever tunnel used in a Disney theme park. Behind me is It's a Small World. And did you know that the Sherman Brothers developed that song in just one morning before lunchtime? And on the drive back to the studio with Walt, they said, you know what, we're not too satisfied with the song, we're just gonna sell it to UNICEF. And Walt immediately slammed on the brakes, pulled over, and said, absolutely not. You're not going to sell it to UNICEF. You're going to keep that song because that song will feed your grandchildren. Right behind me is the world famous Jungle Cruise. Now at the time, the animatronics that were in the Jungle Cruise were state of the art. The team that did them actually did two other animatronics. One was the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea squid, and the second is a shark from Jaws. I'm here in the Disney Gallery right now, and this safe, which was made in 1916, which you can tell because if you open this panel, the actual inscription inside shows it was made in 1916. But this and the horse-drawn trolleys on Main Street are the only two things in Disneyland Park that were not changed, altered, or replaced since its opening in Disneyland. So behind me is the Opera House. Now the Opera House actually was a lumber mill for the first 4 years after Disneyland was built. The only reason why it opened was to advertise the movie Babes in Toyland. That tradition is now continued in the movie preview centers you see around Disneyland Park and DCA. So those are my secret facts about Disneyland. Please like this video. Are there any that you know that were not covered or that no one knows? Please let me know in the comments below, and hope you have a magical day. So I'm here in front of Splash Mountain. Now Splash Mountain was originally named Splash Mountain because Michael Eisner wanted to do cross-promotional marketing with Splash the movie, which was in development in 1984.